everyone, and welcome back to Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai with the total of Fall of the Samurai mod. So I managed to find this rather nice map with a nice looking redoubt, and I just had to do a Crimean War scenario for this one. So right now I'm playing as the Russians, or I did play as the Russians, as this is a replay. So I played as the Russians defending, and then off on my right flank we got the British coming in ready to attack the redoubt from that side, and on the left we've got the French coming in to attack my redoubt. So it's kind of split into three parts. I only really deployed over here in this part of the redoubt, didn't go all the way out here. Not entirely sure, but I think the redoubt might actually be like a British redoubt, because the crates of tea all over the place. With that said, however, I'm defending this redoubt. We got the French coming in over here. It's a rather nice redoubt as well. I've gone ahead and placed these spikes in front of it, and then the enemy has to pass through the spikes down here and then up towards my troops, laying in wait, gunning them down. Then they can get to the sweet tea behind, and they'll have to pass through all over the place. Now, unfortunately, I gave the enemy a lot of artillery, and in my first test battle they did actually bombard me, and they did start off this video with bombarding me a little bit, as you can see. Unfortunately, they're going to just kill their artillery by charging it straight onto me, so that's not very fun. But yeah, we've got our troops, and we'll see if the Russians are able to defend this redoubt. The enemy outnumbers us with about, not really twice as many numbers, because I have about 4,500 men, and the enemy has deployed. The British have the exact same number of troops as me, and then the French add on with another about 3,000, almost 4,000 men, if I recall correctly. So the front line here is being held by Jaeger troops, or light infantry troops. Unfortunately for me, the British light troops actually outrange us. So we got I believe these are the Welsh Fusiliers, are able to shoot at my men at longer range. So I have to move up my Jaegers to actually be able to respond to the enemy light infantry. However, at this range, as we can see, not a lot of kills are being made on either side, except for the artillery. A little better on this side, where they're firing on to line infantry, which are taking more casualties, just because if the bullet doesn't hit that unit, it'll pass through and probably hit this one. And we can see my artillery shot is bouncing through the lines here, killing off quite a few men. As per usual, the AI is stupid and sending forwards their artillery straight on to my redoubt, getting blasted by artillery. I think it would have been a lot nicer if they'd actually bombarded me from range, which I bet their infantry would have liked too, because it would have covered their advance towards the redoubt a little bit better than it is now. We see the French here, they're going in for a charge, looks like. Same with the British over on this side. Here we go, the French are attacking. And also what we can hear in the background, we can hear a Russian march, and that is a new ability that's been added into the European factions, is that you have the quick advance ability, which you had in Shogun 2, which allowed the Yari samurai to move up quickly, or they really sprint quicker than before. They've added that on. It plays a bit of music and allows the European troops, I think, to march a bit faster. So in the actual battle, I kind of neglected to actually draw my my Jaegers back, because I was actually doing the commentary over the full-on battle, but I decided that, you know what, I was gonna redo it through the replay because there was just so much happening so quickly that I couldn't cover it all, and I couldn't get this close to the actual action. Especially since the enemy decided to very quickly close range with my Redoubt and bayonet charge it. So I've got my light infantry scrambling to get back in cover behind here in the Redoubt as the British are pushing forward. A big thing that I think caused my loss of the front line here is the fact that the Coldstream Guard acts as a sort of morale barrier for the rest of the British troops. Otherwise, I think they might very well have routed before they got to the wall, or when they got into melee here. But the Coldstream Guard and also the French Grenadier Guards, which are fielded here on this battle, will allow them to sort of have smaller portable general units moving around, making sure that they don't rout. We've got some really nice cannon and canister shots being fired by this artillery piece straight into these French units, absolutely massacring quite a few of them, as you can see. But the French charge on and forcing the artillery crew to give up, and now they're going towards my main defense of the Redoubt. The Russians try at their best stopping the French-British advance, but there's just too many of them, and we can see the Coldstream Guards have ended up here as well, because I gave the British 2 battalions of them. Same with the French, they got 2 units of Grenadier Guards. And here we see one of them attacking the Russians in breaking through the front line of my Redoubt. It's a very thin line, it's only 2 units on the front line. Got artillery here, got artillery back here, so we can see the front line has broken. And I'm sending forwards my Grenadiers. And my second line is trying to hold off the enemy as they push in after my retreating troops. And I'm not really able to push down that much fire onto the enemy here before we are caught in melee fighting, which is very unfortunate. What I probably should have done is actually added on a lot more chevrons to my men to make sure they could withstand a little bit longer against the enemy's charges. So here's one unit of Grenadiers that actually held on for quite a while against a lot of enemy troops, but eventually this one falls as well. And we can see now on the main Redoubt that I've fell back from the front part of it, and now I'm only holding this part of the Redoubt, so we're losing ground. However, the British and the French are losing tons of men, especially due to my cannon fire coming from over here. Tons of men, as I just took down the British general there with canister and keep pounding this area right here with canister, killing loads of British and French troops. But you can see the overpowering amount of French and British troops coming on here, just pouring over the side, going right at us. More canister being fired here. We still have the Jaegers firing along this line. We've got... Now here is the British general. It was a French general I shot down with canister. So I tried to actually go for this guy as well, but I believe it was this cannon I was in control of, and as you see the crew of it is getting shot down, so I couldn't swivel the gun around to actually face him and be able to shoot him down. I was hoping to shoot down the British general as well, and with that cause a rout within the enemy lines. But unfortunately, as we can see here, my men are pulling back. I keep firing with this one, but it's a little bit too little too late. We've got the general dismounted, falling back through the redoubt. We've got grenadiers, we've got 1 line infantry, 1 Jaeger, 1 6-pounder, and we've got 1 line infantry that has rallied, moving up to the front line. So now I'm only holding this part of the redoubt. The enemy is about to overrun my cannons. They've overrun this cannon position and is firing down on my men. At this point I take control of this cannon and fire canister on the Coldstream Guard, slowly walking up the hill here to attack my troops. At some point I'll take control of this and start firing canister onto the enemy. As they, yeah, there we go. But since they walk, yeah, I'm basically unloading an entire shot of canister into 1 or 2 guys standing in front of the cannon, and I'm not really able to break it. And we can see the amount of just French and British troops marching over, taking over my cannon position, taking over anything, everything and anything at this point. Hold on to the last man. I wish I had that ability, hold on to the last, with the generals. I could form one of those squares and give the men sort of almost impregnable amount of morale. But as we see here, the left has fallen, and that causes panic. The grenadiers are falling back. This unit is falling back as well, the artillery. And there it is over. The redoubts have been captured by the British-French force, but at a high cost. At a very high cost, I must say. So we can see just the amount of troops charging over. So they still probably had a good amount of soldiers, 3,000 or so left. But there's quite a few of them lying dead all around the redoubt. They had some British troops even being able to flank the redoubt on this side. I did have these 6-pounders basically get away scot-free, even though they left the cannons, but the crew... Oh yes, I missed that part. I took control in the end of a 6-pounder, and I started just blasting with canister onto the side here, and you can see the amount of troops that were just blasted on this unit. They're probably routing somewhere out here. It's probably this one. So these are the guys that are left of that. But otherwise, I really like this map. I can't exactly remember what it's called, but it was a really cool map with this kind of redoubt, and I hopefully there'll be more of these maps made for this, since it kind of fits in with the Crimean War. And I think it's easier, probably easier to do a sort of Crimean War siege map like this, rather than actually using the Shogun 2 castle assets, because it kind of quickly becomes obvious that it is a Japanese castle and not like a Russian castle that they're defending. So I think that's easier. Otherwise, I don't think he has planned that many assets, as far as I know, in sort of changing that around. I haven't really seen anyone made any assets, so it's probably quite hard, or maybe not even worth your time in most cases. Yes, there we have it. Let's go on and take a look at the statistics of this battle, and then I'll bid you adieu. And here we have the statistics. So as we can see, I deployed the same amount of troops as the British force, 4,540 men, and then we have to add on the French force then, so which almost is as many, so I was outnumbered by 3,740 men. However, when we actually take a look at the kills made, we can see that I lost about 2,000 while inflicting 3,000 casualties on the enemy, so quite a difference there. So it was a high cost for the British and the French to actually take this redoubt. The French and the British lost about the same amount of troops, so I kind of equally spaced out which troops I killed, so I made sure that it was equal there. It's a difference of less than 30 men in a difference in between, which is kind of interesting, the fact that they that I managed to inflict such close, or like half and half, on the French and British. We can also see that the British did kill a lot more of my men than the French did. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but I can imagine that maybe because the French came to my right side, that they were not able to close in like the British did, which went in from the right side, and they took over quite a lot part of my redoubt and pushed through with bayonets, compared with the French, which went on from the front. So the British had more to go through, like they had more to actually kill than the French. When we look at the statistics, not surprisingly, it's a 12-pounder cannon that ends up with the highest kills, followed by a 6-pounder. Then we got Grenadier unit in between all the cannons. Not entirely sure which Grenadier, but probably one of the ones that held to the end. Not entirely sure about that, because it lost 200 men, so it would have only been 100 men left of that unit. Then we got line infantry, grenadiers, and so forth. One thing is the Jaegers performed very poorly, and we can also see how many the Jaegers lost. Most of them, like this one retreated off the field, having only lost 14 men and inflicting 30 casualties. And I mean, the sort of, if you look, this one's even worse, losing 8 and then retreating. We have one losing 80 and one losing 48, which is more respectable in terms of how hard they fought before they actually left the field. General lost 4 people, managed to kill 10. For the English, we have the Royal Marines, Coldstream Guards, and more Royal Marines, and then some Highlanders in the top of their killing group. Their artillery, of course, did not very good. They managed to get absolutely destroyed without killing anyone. Well, one British howitzer managed to get 10 of my. The British general lost everyone but himself in the bodyguard there. The French general, I imagine, got absolutely blown away, so he's gone. For the French, it's Grenadier, Guard Grenadier, and Normal Grenadier that end up in the top, followed by some Fusiliers. There's the enemy French general, losing everyone, managed to killing 9. I believe there's one Fusilier here that... Look at this Fusilier. So this Fusilier managed to lost 100 men, only managed to kill 1 of my guys. And same here for the French artillery. Didn't really inflict that much. We had one of the howitzers actually killing 2 of my men. So there we have the statistics of the battle. And with that said, I will say, as I always say, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!